Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Being That Woman podcast. Today's episode is all about unfucking the timeline. I'm having so many conversations at the moment in my space, and having hit 40 has honestly brought up so much. And I know that so many women are also in this space where, you're either approaching 40 or you have hit 40, or maybe you're even well into your 40s. And maybe like me, you thought that this was just a number. And no. This is not just a number. It is an initiation. It is a portal. And all I can say is from my own experience, even though I spent the best part of 2 to 3 years talking about approaching 40, being almost 40, being still single at 40, and even though I'd had so much yes to myself at being of this age, I also didn't realize that it was going to come with a huge, let's just call it a life audit and a life inventory for me to really get super intentional about what it is that I actually want. And one of the things that I had to do in order to do that was kind of just take a whole look at my life and really look at the places in which I was subscribing to this timeline. Because this timeline that essentially has just been kind of like put out there in society, that a woman has to be somewhere by a certain age. The biological clock, of course, as it comes to children, and I know so many women right now are freezing their eggs, and there's this whole piece around a woman is running out of time. And I know from a somatic standpoint and a nervous system standpoint, the urgency and the anxiety and the fear that actually chemically produces in the body, it doesn't feel good. And of course, then it sets the mind off of like, what do I need to do to fix this? And with the whole piece of the life inventory that I subscribed to doing, as part of my own desire for my own initiation into this chapter of my life, I really wanted to look back at my life and ask myself, was I subscribing to that at some point? And did that then lead me to make a course of decisions that then ultimately has landed me in the place of where I am now? And the answer is yes. The choices that we make each and every single day, whether they're micro or they're big decisions and choices, they're eventually co-creating our life and setting us up for the future. So, I always remembered being like, oh, by 30, I will be fill in the blank. I will be married with children. I thought I'd be married at 25 and have 2 children and be living in London. Like, it's literally insane. I remember arriving at 25 being like, I am nowhere near ready for children. I don't even fully know if children are on my timeline now, because life was getting lifey. And then I remember, by 40, I will be living abroad, which I am, but I thought I'd be living in the US, and I would be married, still very much single, man-free, child-free. I don't subscribe to using the words childless, manless. And, landing a job as a receptionist at 35 was not on my dream timeline. I honestly, that whole period of my life, like my mid-30s, really shook things up and shook me up to the core. Because I realized that, the things that I thought that I wanted are not happening, and it's creating a lot of anxiety within me. And that didn't feel good, My breakup at 30, it didn't feel good. And I fell hard in love, and then I fell hard out of love as well. I don't know if you can relate to being a woman that, falls really deeply when you fall in love with a guy. Well, that was my experience. And, I met him at 27. I thought that was right on time. My timeline, I was like, perfect. But life and experience and trauma and challenges and all the things had other plans for me, And one of the things I really just want to put on the table is that you get to feel free. You get to feel really free. You get to really trust where you are as well. Because sometimes We can tell ourselves that we're not where we want to be. And all the while, we completely bypass the experience of living life because we're in fear of the future. And there's worry and there's fear. And that literally strips the joy of our very today. The thing that really supported me in unfucking my timeline, I've had different levels, shall we say, of this. And the very first time, and I'm going to speak specifically into dating and relationships and men, particularly for this, even though I know so many women as well have this, oh my God, my timeline with children, and oh my God, my timeline with my career, I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not earning the amount that I want to be earning. Everything touches everything. And I was working on a program with one of my mentors, and he was coaching me on an experience with a guy. And this guy, I'm just going to call him Jay for sake of the podcast. I met Jay when I was like in the middle, like knee deep in the middle of rediscovering myself and really, really being in the inner work. And I remember at this point, I'd been single for quite a while, and I was happily single. Like I was very much loving getting to know myself on a deeper level and getting to learn more about nervous system and human beings and the wild concept of everything that really we should have learned in school. But that's just my personal opinion. And I met him and it felt extremely easy. And I'd always been used to kind of like chaotic type experiences with guys where there was a bit of drama leading up to meeting them. And with him, it was very different. It felt very easy. He was very much in the work as well, very self-aware. He had his own business and I'd just started my business. And it felt very aligned to me and easy and passionate. There was a lot of chemistry. There was a lot of compatibility. So we really hit the points of compatibility and chemistry on fire. Communication was good because we had great things to talk about. We got on. However, there was no depth of communication as it pertains to vulnerability and intimacy of the relationship. I'm sharing this because when that ended, because I realized that I was overgiving. I was very much overgiving, to the point actually where when we broke up, he even said, when things settle down and this, we've had some time to heal, I'd love to hire you as my coach. And that for me was just like the sign of, Anna, you have been overgiving way too much. The reciprocity in this particular relationship has not been equal. And I politely declined. I remember being coached by Preston, my mentor, and him introducing me to this concept. And when I heard this concept, it was literally the first time, honestly, my whole viewpoint and perspective on the timeline completely shifted. He said, he was your one. And I was like, hold the phone. He was my one, but we're not together. Like, what? And he was like, let me finish. And he said he was your one for that moment in time, for that era. And then as I started to think about this, because I realized, I learned the beautiful lesson that, Anna does have a fawning response in relationships. People please. She does overgive. She does like to be of value. She does like to be useful. And that very much transpired in that relationship. I, at the end of that relationship, saw through and through, wow, Anna overgives. Anna wants to be of value. Anna is very valuable because he was getting a lot of value from our interactions and my support in him, in his business and all of the things. Then I realized, he was my one, because your one is here to give you something, is here to support you in your evolution, is here to inspire you and grow you. And sometimes it's not going to look good and it's not going to feel good, but later on, you're going to realize that that experience shaped you and supported you in understanding and learning more about yourself. And when I understood this concept, I then all of a sudden just became so trusting of who I was meeting at any given point in time, of every man, every day, every interaction. there was like this unattachment that happened for me, because I realized whatever it is, whether it is one coffee date, whether it is 3 weeks of dating, whether it is 3 months of dating, whether it's 3 years, whatever, this is an actual gift to me. This is like an experience that I get to be in, that I actually, right now, where it goes on the other side of it is none of my business, really. All that is my business is like right here, right now, and what I'm learning and how I'm relating to this man, to what he's saying, to his behavior, to what's coming up for me, to what I'm feeling. And honestly, it was one of the most freeing realizations of my entire life to date. When I understood that concept of everyone's the one, and it's almost like going to the gym, building a muscle and a body of a woman that knows what she wants and will just keep doing what she needs to do and enjoying what she's doing in the process in order to get the results that she wants. And the results are always coming. So it's kind of like this infinite game that you're playing. Every single guy that I've met since has been a more elevated, more defined, more clear, more aligned, more of a yes version of the previous guy. So it wasn't J, it wasn't A, it wasn't B, it wasn't D, it wasn't E. And the experience just keeps on going. There are no timelines in it. So then this concept really, really like stood out to me for the longest time. And then recently, since being here in Lisbon, that experience was back in Manchester. But since being here in Lisbon, I've dated, but I haven't hyper dated. I'm not one of these like constantly on the apps. I actually deleted the apps 3-4 months ago now. And life has been amazing since. And I feel way more connected to myself, this is a whole separate podcast, right? So I will put a pin in my mind right now to do this. But my whole landscape has changed internally, and how men are relating to me has completely changed. But since being here, I have realized like the availability I have has changed. I realized that even though I'm in this space right now of still single, still man-free, it's a beautiful place to be, because there's still life to be lived. There's still experiences to be had. And if I'm going to focus and concentrate on I'm 41 next year, I'm 45 in a few years, I'm 50 in 10 years. If I'm going to put my time and energy and attention on those kind of thoughts, that's just going to fuel the urgency and the continuous scarcity that we can create. Because scarcity is just a concept. It's not actually real. It's just something that's created in the confinements of our own minds, right? And for any woman that's listening to this right now, one of the things that I really want you to think about is in 10 years' time, if you still haven't met your man, and I'm saying this to you because this is something that I've sat with really recently, actually, is if I don't meet him by Christmas, which used to be a thing all the time for me, is like, this Christmas, this is going to be the last Christmas that I'm going to be single. And I saw myself doing that, and I was like, no, unfuck that, because that's still part of the timeline programming. It's still a part of that whole paradigm of when will I? And it creates the urgency and the frustration and the longing and the needing and the desire, and it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good to the body, doesn't feel good to my heart, doesn't feel good to my soul. So when I landed on that, look, this is going to be the last Christmas that I'm ever going to be single, I then asked myself, if in 10 years' time, if I am still single, what do I want this next decade of my life to actually feel like? Like, what kind of woman do I want to be? What kind of experiences do I want to have without the man? With knowing that I'm not meeting him till 50. Let's just say we don't meet him until 50. What am I going to do? Like, am I going to stay in every single night and be miserable? Am I going to say to myself every single day that I'm not good enough because I don't have a man? Am I going to be constantly swiping and spending hours and hours and hours on the apps? You know, it's insane. I recently heard some data that some guy swiped something like 1,000,000 times. And from the 1,000,000 times, he generated 1,500 matches. The statistics are, my brain's not fully on, but it's roughly around this. And then from 1,500 matches, he had about 800 conversations. And from 800 conversations, he went on one date. And when they totaled up the time, he'd spent almost like 5 years on an app. And it's insane to think, what could you have done with the life that was just waiting and wanting to be lived? And I'm asking you to think about this for yourself. Like, if you don't meet him in 10 years, then what kind of life do you want to live in that decade? What kind of woman do you want to, like, how do you want to treat yourself? What kind of woman do you want to be to yourself? How do you want to speak to yourself? How do you want to show up for yourself? What dreams do you want to do that maybe right now you're waiting to do because you haven't met him yet? Maybe you want to buy a home. Well, get started and buy a home on your own. Maybe you want to travel for 3 months backpacking, but you want to do it with a person. And I get it. It's such an awesome experience to do it with a person, but don't deprive or deny yourself of an experience waiting and wishing and wondering that that man's going to be on the other side. Because the more that we put off our life and essentially our safety in ourselves in the hands of a man, that ain't going to feel good for the man when he does come. You know, that literally your whole sense of security and self-esteem and yes to yourself is only because he's on your hand. That's going to feel a lot for him to hold and carry. And, you know, if the shoe was on the other side, on the flip side, like, would you actually want that if a man was literally like, you're my everything? And not from a, you're my everything, but you're my everything. Like, without you, I'm nothing, I'm no one, I can't function, I can't mentally hold myself, I'm not good enough if I don't have you. Like, that to me, all of a sudden, as I'm speaking that out with you, like, my whole body's having an experience of like, oh my God, I need to breathe, take an exhale, right? What kind of life do you want to live? And not in the, and I see the catch that some women do. If I'm in my joy and my pleasure, and if I'm fully like confident and if I'm fully magnetic, as the word is out in the coaching world of like magnetism, having everything and everyone attracted to you. If I'm in my full magnetism, then he'll find me. And I'm like, bitch, what about magnetism just for yourself? Literally. Just to get high off your own supply, not for anyone to see, not for anyone to know, not for anyone else to be experienced with or collaborated with, not for anyone else to validate you for your magnetism or say yes to your magnetism and your aliveness, essentially, being alive in your own body and feeling so fucking lit up by yourself. What about just for you? You know? Can you be that selfish? Can you be that selfish that you unhook from the timeline? You unhook from needing to be something or live a certain life to attract something or someone. And it's just literally for you because you get to have that experience. So I'm going to leave you with a little piece of homework. And the homework is, I want you to carve out some time for yourself. I want you to literally get out your scheduler right now. Go to Gmail, Cal, whatever you use. Look at where you've got some space and some availability. Get into your masculine energy of organization here. And I want you to carve out an hour, 90 minutes approximately. And in that hour, what I want you to do is I want you to get a piece of paper and put it landscape. And I want you to just draw a line. Literally like a line in the middle. And on the top of that line, I want you to write out from birth to where you're at now, whatever age you are in this beautiful day in 2025. And I want you to write each good experience, good, effective, positive experience that you've had, the pinnacles, the big highlight moments that you remember, right? Or they could actually even be small, but if it meant something to you, then write it down. And then underneath the line, I want you to do the same for anything that's been ineffective, negative, or quote unquote bad. I try and steer clear of using good and bad, right and wrong type languaging. But for this exercise, just so you're clear on the ineffective and effective. So ineffective, negative experiences on the underneath from 0 to your beautiful age right now in 2025. And next to those experiences, I want you to write out what you learned from that experience and how it has supported you in building you to be the woman that you are today. And I'm just going to tell you exactly why I'm giving you this to do, is because as humans, and because of our nervous system, we are wired up for survival, which means it's so easy to look for the red flags. It's so easy to look for what is going, quote unquote, wrong and the things that we need to be in fear of versus the abundance and the yes and the amazingness and the richness and the wonder and the beauty of life and the world and who we are as divine beings, you know? So the reason I'm giving you this timeline to do is to do an evidence stack and to reframe, to start reframing what it is that's going on mentally in this loop, in this urgency, in this fear of time running out and all of the things, and actually reframe it and just go back and do an inventory, very much like I did, of seeing all of the spaces and the places that actually you've grown and it's all perfect. Every experience, every man, every challenge, it was all the one. It's all part of the concept of the grand tapestry of your life that's serving and supporting you. And if you want to go even more micro with it, something that I was doing and have been doing since hitting 40 has been to really start unpicking every single day. What am I yes to? What am I no to? What's worth my time, money, and energy? And getting really, really clear on what's coming from a divine, intentional choice of truth, of empowerment, of what feels good, of what's in alignment with my future self. And also what feels scary because it's in alignment with me doing something new, you know, and just really getting curious and laser on every single part and aspect of your life. Because otherwise, left to our own devices, we will literally escape and go to the fear and the anxiety. So you've got to bring it in. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then I would love, 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 love a 5-star review and also a share and a tag so I can connect with you at I am Anna Christina on Instagram.